All right, we are joined on the hotline by Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star. He has covered the Chiefs now for a season. Hey, Jaylon, welcome to our show.
Hey, how you doing, Bob and Jason? How you doing?
We're doing well. We're happy to have you on, a first timer. We appreciate it. So, the Royals have certainly caught our attention. I'm sure they've caught the attention of their fan base. They are making moves. They're trying to get better. Today they added Hunter Renfroe to help in their outfield and their power, and Michael Waka to go into their starting rotation along with Seth Lugo and others. The Royals are making waves. Did you expect all of this activity?
I'll be honest with you. I did not expect for them to make this flurry of moves. And, being last year was my first full season on the beat, I've heard stories about how the Royals generally don't spend money like in free agency and through trades and whatnot. But this year they have come out swinging, and it's taken me by surprise. I realized that there were a couple players that when free agency was just starting, I had like Seth Lugo is a realistic possibility, Michael Waka, and they went out and they signed these guys. So I think it's really cool to see that they're trying to show fans they want to compete and they're tired of being in last place and at the bottom of the standings.
Are they doing this, do you think, a little bit with the fact that talk about the new stadium there? Where's it going to go? Do you think that they're wanting to just say, you know what, we're going to try to win too, since we're going to have to build this thing? Is there a little political stuff happening with this, or are the Royals actually going to start spending a little bit in order to try to be better than the basement dwellers that they've been for years?
In my opinion, and from what I've heard from so many people around the team, this is for real. They are serious about competing. JJ Piccolo, the Royals general manager, he was saying in a press conference yesterday that the time to compete is now. They want to make significant moves because they're tired of giving out opportunity the last 2 years. They want to take that next step forward. And I believe that the stadium, it's possible it could play a role into that, knowing that they want to build a new stadium and they have to be competitive when by the time that new stadium, if it comes, is available and to move into. But after a while, you just lost 56 games. I mean, you lost 106 games last year. You only won 56. It was the tie for the franchise worst record. They have to go upward, and I think that's what they're trying to do.
Good stuff from Jaylon Thompson, beat writer for the Royals from the Kansas City Star. So that rotation and the pitching staff was so bad last year. They made a midseason deal trading Aroldis Chapman to Texas. They got Cole Reagans back, and he was marvelous for the Royals in the final couple of months of 2023. Mm-hmm. They've added Seth Lugo. They've added Michael Waka. They hope for a bounce back from Brady Singer. Jordan Lyles is still in the mix. While we applaud what the Royals are doing now, it certainly looks like they've thrown in the towel to some degree on all that young pitching that they drafted in previous years.
I wouldn't say that by chance because I believe getting in these veterans that they have, it's valuable experience that they can help teach these younger players as they come along. And I kind of look at it like this. If I'm a young pitcher and I'm thrown right into the fire and I'm still trying to figure out the major league landscape, it's kind of difficult to perform and also go through my ups and my downs. Well, the Royals have basically said, these young guys, you can learn and grow at your own pace now. And you can get these opportunities when they come to you and you take full advantage of them. We have the veterans now, essentially what the Royals are saying, to compete with the Seth Lugos, the Michael Wakas now. The Cole Reagan show he can do it last year, Jordan Lyles. Now these younger guys, and we're talking about Daniel Lynch IV, Chris Bubis, they're coming off of injuries. They can take their time in getting back and rounding to form and really grow and develop at a more sustained level now. And to a certain extent, Brady Singer as well, because he doesn't have to be counted on to be the number one or number two. He might be the 3 or 4 this upcoming season, and that might help him continue to be better and be more consistent. So I think having this veteran experience helps breed the competition and ultimately helps create and develop younger talent that where they need to be at.
Well, you've been there for a year now. Obviously, they've made some moves, as we've discussed. But what else do you think they need to address here before spring training comes around?
I think that they have a lot of pieces now where they might need to compartmentalize it a little bit, because you look at your corner outfield spots. If the reported deal with Hunter Renfroe goes through, you're going to have him. You're going to have MJ Melendez, Edward Olivares, Nelson Velasquez, Drew Waters. There's a lot of outfielders out there. And also on the infield, you can look at Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Massey, Vinny Pasquantino. That seems like that might be set, but they might decide they might want to upgrade in one of those spots. So maybe a trade could be incoming. I don't know for sure. I haven't heard anything of that but I believe that with the amount of time they have on the roster, they might need to consolidate it a little bit to, help fill those needs in more succinctly.
Yeah, for sure. Their corner outfield situation is pretty crowded. We're talking with Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star. Lots of discussion about trying to extend Bobby Witt Jr., who has all the makings and look of a superstar, trying to get him locked down. Making moves like this certainly would be an enticement, I would think, to tell Bobby Witt, we're tired of being bad. We're trying to build a championship team. We're in a division, the American League Central, where we feel like we can get to the top fairly quickly if we make the right moves. How much of this do you think is a little bit of a signal to Bobby Witt that we're trying to change this, man?
Yeah, I really think so for sure. And one thing that I noticed over the last couple of days, when the Royals signed Will Smith and Seth Lugo, you saw Bobby Witt Jr. and Benny Pasquantino put up the brick emoji on their social media, their Twitter, their X account. And I think that's very important because it's showing that the Royals are trying to build brick by brick. If you really look at it, and J.J. Picollo has said this for a while, he said that we need to build a better team. So Bobby Witt Jr. is a key part of that future and wanting to build that team. And I believe that with them building with this veteran experience that they're putting on the roster now, and I can't forget Kyle Wright, too. He won't pitch this year, but if he gets back to his form in 2022 when he's with the Atlanta Braves, that's another frontline pitcher that could be really worth it for them. But, yeah, I think that in Bobby's case, it's just a matter of showing him and to his representatives that they're serious about winning. And they can do that, then who knows? They might actually have a shot of retaining his services,
Yeah, and listen, you look at this, and you can maybe draw a little bit of a comparison to what happened when the Royals were going to consecutive World Series. They brought in pitchers like James Shields and Johnny Cueto, and while both were obviously very good pitchers, they weren't the guys that were, getting the $150 million contracts. So Waka and Lugo kind of fit into that general area. You got Reagans, who you think is going to be a legit guy. So the Royals, I'm sure they look at this and think, if we can get back into the playoffs and try to win the Central, which I said earlier is a winnable division, who knows what can happen, right?
Exactly. And also, you got to look at it, too. In this past World Series, it was the Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks. They both lost over 100 games 2 years ago. And in the case of the Diamondbacks, and I actually wrote about this too, I was saying, the Diamondbacks did it with their homegrown talent. They got some free agents that they built around, but they had guys like Corbin Carroll, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, and they took that core and they just pushed forward. And the biggest thing that I always say is, it doesn't matter how you get there, but if you can get to the playoffs, anything can happen. And we've seen that. We've seen wild card teams make it to the World Series just this past year. So in the Royals' case, if they can string together some wins and potentially have some positive momentum moving forward, who knows where they could end up this year, next year, or even moving forward. And it seems like they're taking the right steps towards that process. But as we all know, that's a long road ahead for sure.
And before anybody tries to lock me up and throw me in the asylum, I'm not predicting the Royals to win the Central this year, but they have made inroads, and so have the Detroit Tigers, a team they'll be competing with. Detroit's done a very nice job of adding to its pitching staff as well. So, hey, at least the Royals and their fan base has something to look forward to. We appreciate you coming on to talk about it in depth with us, Jaylon. Thank you. We'll reach out again soon.
Thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it as well. And I'll be around next time you need me. I'm right here.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you
Jaylon
guys.
Thompson, beat writer from the Kansas City Star. Nice young man.